Okay, guys, after today's lesson, I thought it might be a good idea to try to record a little tutorial focusing on a couple of extra practice problems using either the X method or the multiply and maneuver slip and slide method. So I'm going to do some examples for you, and hopefully this will help for those of you who are still a little confused with those methods. So let's get started. You will need a blank sheet of paper and a pencil. And we're going to factor using two methods this quadratic equation. All right, so number one is going to be 7n squared plus 47n plus 30. Now, trial and error, the first number is prime, so it wouldn't be horrible, but the 30 is kind of messy. So let's look at our two other methods. First, we will look at the X method, which is the one you saw last night. And I know I need a product, of the first leading coefficient times the constant, which is 210, and a sum of the middle term, which is 47. Now, the factors of 210 are there's a lot of them, right? So, you can kind of start listing them. And these are all positive, by the way. We don't have to worry about any negatives here, so that's good. Then go 21 times 10. That's not even really close. 31. So you can use some of your mental math strategies here. I mean, obviously, I don't want to go to 70 times 3. That's not going to help me get a sum of 47. So I also know that 42 is a factor since 21 is a factor, and that's divisible by 2. I can take that times 5, and that happens to work. So now we're going to break it out so we can use factor by grouping. So I take 7n squared plus 42n plus 5n plus 30. Okay? And then I can go ahead and factor that and factor that. And what we will find is the common factor of 7n, parentheses n plus 6, plus 5 is a common factor, and n plus 6. So then again, we have these twins and these little extras, okay? I'll put a little asterisk so you don't think I'm multiplying or something there. Okay, so my factors are going to be 7n plus 5 and n plus 6. All right. Now we're going to do the same exact problem using the slip and slide or multiply and maneuver method. And to use that method, we're going to start, and let's see if I can do this here. If I kind of go like that, and I copy this, I'll just clone it. How's that? And we'll move it down there. Okay, so we're going to use this exact same quadratic, and we're going to use the slip and slide method. So basically, we want to multiply the 7 by 30 and then say, okay, I'm going to forget about the 7. So I get n squared plus 47n plus 210. I'm going to factor that. And I kind of need to think like I did up above. I need a product of 210 and a sum of 47. So you kind of have to go through the same thought process as you do with the x, and you would get n plus 42 and n plus 5. Okay? Now here, I multiplied by 7. So to reverse that process, I need to divide by 7. And I would get n plus 42 over 7 and n plus 5 over 7. This cancels into a 6, so I would have n plus 6. And here, I can't cancel that. It doesn't reduce. It's not a whole number, so I kind of take that 7 and I bring it right around to here. Okay? And so I would get 7n plus 5. And if you notice, we do get the same factors. Very nice. Okay? So that's practice of another problem, two alternative methods, and you should be getting a feel for the one that you might want to use in the case of a situation where it's trial and error is going to be difficult. So let's try another one. And as you go along, if you get it, you can shut me off, okay? I'm going to do 3 problems by both methods in this video. So you can turn me off or fast forward at any time to make sure you're okay. But for those who need it, I want to make sure that they're going to get the help they need. So 25, this is a B. I shouldn't have chosen a B, but since I have hit near, I'll just use it. And I guess so right now I'll just clone that because I'm going to do that twice. I'm going to do it once down below again too. Okay? So the X method says I'm going to multiply the 42 by the 3. Really, if you think about it, that's what we're doing down here too, right? So it's very similar, obviously, because math isn't an accident. We do things on purpose. And, all right, here's my multiplication. Here's my addition. 3 times 42, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. You should be working this out. 126. And if I need a sum of negative 25, okay? And we know from our little cheats, okay, that if I have this positive here and this negative here, both the signs in my binomials should work out to be negatives, okay? So I'm thinking, what two factors of 126 are going to give me a sum of negative 25? And you can start thinking about this. You can look at 126 and kind of factor it out. That's going to be 63 times 2, which is 7 times 9 times 2. So I'm kind of looking at, you know, mixing and matching these to get a sum of negative 25. So obviously 63 times 2 isn't going to work. So maybe 18 times 7. And 18, I know I need a sum of negative 25. So what about negative 18 and negative 7? That does add to negative 25. So I can go back to my problem and rewrite it, breaking out that common term into 18b and 7b. Then I can go ahead and do my little factor by grouping thing. Okay, you got to be careful with the negative there. Let's deal with this first. 3b, I'm left with b minus 6. Then minus 7 is going to give me a b minus 6 again. Okay, so my factors then, I'm going to have these twins, and then I'm going to have these little leftover guys that go together. And so I'm going to get b minus 6 and 3b minus 7. Okay, so there's one way to do it. Let's go ahead and do the kind of slip and slide method. So the first thing I want to do here, I have no idea how I did that, but I kind of like it actually. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is multiply by 3. Okay, so I get b squared minus 25b plus 126. I'm going to factor that. And again, it's kind of the same process. I know these are both negative. I know that's a b. And I have to think a product of 126 and a sum of negative 25. So up above, we don't have to recreate the wheel here. We already did that work. And now I need to go back and divide through by 3. So I'm just going to show that in another color here. Divide by 3 here, divide by 3 here, okay? And so I'm going to get b minus 6. And then I want to go ahead, and since I can't reduce that or simplify it, I'm going to move that 3 over here, and I'm going to get 3b minus 7. And if you notice, with the commutative property of multiplication, those are the same factors, okay? Let's do one more example. This will be a good one. All right, so the example is example 3, and it is 16b squared plus 60b minus 100. And you're thinking to yourself, you've got to be crazy, lady. What is your problem? But if you look at this, it's really not as bad as it's cut out to be, because of our little first step in any factoring problem is to look, and my little eyes, for a GCF, okay, to make your life easier. So I do have a GCF here. My GCF happens to be 4. Okay, and once I do that, then I can go ahead and do my same X. I need a product of negative 100, and I need a sum of 15, okay? So, you know, you kind of go through it, 25 times 4, and it has to be negative product. So you got to be thinking about one's positive, one's negative. My middle term is positive, so the bigger factor would be positive. So 25 and 4 is going to give me 21 if I subtract them. Okay, so I might go ahead and then look at 20 times 5, which is going to give me 15 if I subtract them. I want the 5 to be negative and the 20 to be positive. So I'm going to have 4, and I'm going to use square brackets so that I can keep my little ducks in a row, so to speak. And I'm going to say this is 4b squared plus 20b minus 5b minus 25. And you will see why I use the square brackets when we start to factor this now. So I have a 4 square bracket, and then I'm going to take out the 4b. Oh, I should have done my little factor by grouping thing here, and a little factor by grouping thing here. Okay, 4b plus, oh, parentheses, sorry guys, spaced out there with all my color coding. All right, so that's going to be a b and a plus 5, yes? And then minus 5 and a b minus 5, and that's for some reason wrong. But it's not wrong because I just spaced out for a minute. If I subtract the 5 here, all right, that has to be a plus. Remember I told you on the last one, be careful of the negatives, and here I go not being careful of my negatives. That's got to be a plus in order to get a negative 25. Okay, so now you can see it's kind of messy, so that's why I use square brackets and then curved brackets. All right, so I do have my twins, and then I have my leftovers. All right, so it's 4 bracket, hard bracket, 4b minus 5 and b plus 5. Okay, final answer is all that junk. Okay. So we're going to try this again. Oh, I forgot to do my little cloning trick there, so I don't have to rewrite it. Boy, is that the height of laziness or what? Okay. All right, you can move down then. You want to move. All right, so here we are going to try that trick with the slip and slide. However, you don't want to do slip and slide till you've done your GCF. So I'm going to take out my 4 again, and I got 4b squared plus 15b minus 25. Okay? Now I'm just going to worry about that 4b squared. And if I use that 4b squared, I have to multiply by 4. And not what's outside. I'm just going to leave that, okay? So I get a b squared plus 15b minus 100. Same thing here. The product has to be negative 100, and the sum has to be 15. And so we already know from our previous work that is going to be b minus 5 and b plus 20. All right? And then since I multiplied by 4 here, I have to go through and divide by 4 here. So again, I'm just going to go divide by 4, divide by 4, and that's going to be 4. And I'm going to have this 4 cannot be divided into the 5 evenly, so I'm going to bring that around to the front of the coefficient of that b. And it's going to be 4b minus 5, and that's going to be b plus 5. And we see that all in all, both methods give us the same answer. So hopefully this was helpful, and it will help you decide on which methods you like to use when guess and check is going to be cumbersome. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.